Okay, so later today I'm giving a talk on content marketing, and I wanted to give it a quick run through and share this with you. Hopefully it goes well. I'm presenting to no audience right now, just kind of giving this a run through before showtime later, and I wanted to record it so I could have a copy of it, and figured maybe I could also publish this myself and have this kind of nice piece of content to share with the community. So, this webinar is all about how to make content to get customers, partnerships, and grow your business. My name's Andy Cabasso, and why am I qualified to give this talk? Well, I found my own marketing agency and grew it really exclusively due to content marketing. It worked out really well for us, and I have some stories and lessons I can share so I can help you also achieve success with your business through content marketing, help maybe save you some time so you don't make some of the mistakes that we made, and help you achieve success sooner. Today, I'm the founder at Postaga, which is a free all-in-one link building tool to help you build links related to your content and promote your content and get more traffic ultimately to your websites. And I'm also the founder of Offsprout, which is a WordPress-based page builder. So check those out too after you check this out. So agenda for today, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about research, getting ideas for content and validating them. We're going to talk about writing your content, how to write content that people will actually read and will rank. And then we're also going to talk about promoting your content, how to get people to find your content. And then beyond that, we'll talk about different resources as well as a Q&A. So at this point, I would have a poll question for the audience. Why are you interested in this webinar? I'm in charge of content at my company. I'm looking to learn more about content generally. I want to create better content, and I want my content to get more traffic. And the poll will be open at this point, and then people will be answering that poll. We'll talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll move on. I like asking these poll questions because it helps me get a better sense of who's in the audience and why they're here, so I can maybe spend more time talking about what it is that they're interested in. Then now let's talk about why we are even writing this content. Why are we focusing on content over anything else? Well, content marketing is a free way to get traffic to your website, and when done right, it gets you more business, gets you more paying customers, it builds your email list, it builds your audience, it helps you get partnerships and can earn you affiliate revenue. There is so much that you can get from content marketing that it should be one of the pillars of your marketing strategies for your business, for really most any business, especially if you're an online business. I think that really is important and key. If you're not an online business, content marketing definitely can still help, but chances are if you're checking out this content, you have some sort of online business, so that's relevant for you there. I'm rambling now. Let's keep going. This is why me doing this now as a test and recording it helps me later, because I realize, okay, maybe you need to slow down and stop rambling here. Now, a question for the audience: are you writing content regularly? And another one of these questions that helps me get to know the audience better. Now we're going to talk about research, coming up with topics, keeping track of our topics in our content calendar, and topics for audiences, funnels, stages, and goals. So the real question with this is, how are you going to get ideas on what to write about? Well, I have 3 simple steps for you. All you're going to need is a spreadsheet and the internet. So the first step in this process is what I'm calling the spreadsheet brain dump. Basically, you're going to take every idea for a topic relevant to your audience that you have, and just each topic is going to be a line in a spreadsheet. Even if it's not a fully formed idea, but just a word or a phrase, throw that on its own line and add as much as you have until you can't think of anything else, and then wait a while, come back to it. You're gonna really use this as a reference for your content through the future. So even while it may look completely disheveled and disorganized, and some of it is irrelevant and some of it isn't helpful, we're gonna work from this document in planning out our content. And so you don't have to love every idea on it, because we're not gonna necessarily write every one of these topics as an article, but we're going to do some research related to it and find out what would be most appropriate. So some things that I find helpful for my spreadsheet brain dump when thinking of particular types of content, here are some ideas. One thing that had been very successful for me in running an agency was doing review content, reviewing products and services that were relevant to my audience, some services that were complementary. So for example, I ran a marketing agency in the legal industry. I would do review content related to software and tools that lawyers would use, figuring that if lawyers are online and they're doing searches, they're probably doing searches of things in addition to hopefully marketing, which is what I'm selling, which is more that bottom of funnel. Like if I have someone who's searching for law firm website design or law firm marketing, that's a very targeted, specific person who is looking for my services, and that's great. But there are not as many people searching for that, let's say, as like software for law firms or legal research for law firms or editing tools for law firms, stuff that's maybe broader than what it is that we do, but it's still people getting into my ecosystem, hopefully getting them onto my email list, me being able to nurture them, and over time, when the timing is right, being able to sell them on a website. I've had people who got onto my email list because they came across an article I did reviewing some software or tool that was relevant to them that they were searching for at the time. They read my article. They then downloaded a piece of premium content that I had, like a guide on software or a comparison chart of different tools and softwares for my audience. And then they got my emails, they got my weekly newsletters of articles I was sharing and articles that we were writing. And then years and years later, they reached out to me saying, I've been following your blog for a long time now, and the timing is now right as all right, my contract with this other provider is over and I need a new service provider, and you're the one I want to work with because I've been really appreciating the content that you've been sharing with me all this time. So just an idea here for you is you don't necessarily just need to focus on that content that's on the bottom of the funnel for and by the funnel, I'm saying think of your content as a funnel where at the top level it's the widest and you're reaching the widest audience, but those aren't necessarily people who are ready to buy your services. And then further down the funnel you get more targeted into prospects, that people that are going to want to buy and pay for your products and services. So that's the bottom of funnel. That's probably going to be the smallest audience because not so many people are going to be in the ready to buy mindset as they are in the getting awareness, getting information stage. They're not necessarily ready to make a decision or even sure that they're even in the market for your service, but getting people the earlier we can that are relevant to our services, it's better. So think of all of that when you're doing your spreadsheet brain dump. Don't just focus on this bottom of the funnel stuff. I want you to also focus on stuff that's more up funnel, topics that are relevant to your audience generally. And when I'm doing content, I like to do a mix of content that's top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. The bottom of funnel content's more like pitching my services, content like case studies on results that I was able to achieve for my clients, and things like sharing features and benefits of my product. More salesy stuff is more bottom of funnel, and more top of funnel is more just educational content more broadly. And then beyond that, I also like to kind of think about beyond self-serving needs with my content in terms of trying to get me a sale. What can I do in terms of content to maybe build partnerships or maybe get some affiliate revenue? When I was doing review content, most of the apps I was reviewing related to our service, related to the blog articles, had affiliate channels, and so that's a win there. So if you connect with their affiliates and add that affiliate link, that can be a nice way to earn a little bit extra money too. And we made a good amount of money over the years in doing affiliates. Of doing affiliate links and earning affiliate revenue from software we were already reviewing and already wanted to review because it was relevant to our audience. And so aside from the fact that you can get that top of funnel, you can also make some money doing it. And then there are also partnership opportunities. By writing content related to maybe other businesses in your ecosystem, you can get on their radar and maybe find some partnership opportunities there. So, for example, us doing reviews of certain products or services got other businesses aware of who we were, especially because early on, we were a small fish in a big pond. There were a lot of companies that were doing what we did, but by us going so heavy on content marketing, we became very well known in a relatively short period of time, and people wanted to do co-marketing with us. They wanted to do things like webinars. They wanted to do guest post exchanges. They wanted to work on content together. And it really worked out very well for us. Next, you've got all these great ideas. It's time to research and verify. Here's where you're going to need some access to some maybe premium SEO tools. Tools like Ahrefs or Ahrefs. Everyone pronounces it differently. There's that. There's SEMrush. There's Moz. There's Ubersuggest. There are these tools that can tell you, for example, if you've got these keywords, what's the difficulty to rank for the keyword difficulty, and what's the search volume. Generally, you want, like in a perfect world, you have a lot of search volume and a very small keyword difficulty to rank for that post. And generally, you're going to want to try and find the right mix to make sure that you may think that you have a really great idea for a blog post and that your audience will like it, but there just may not be a lot of search volume for it. So keep all that in mind. So you can use these tools. You can take all of the terms that you have from your spreadsheet brain dump and search for particular keywords, find out the right phrasing, the right way to say something, because it all makes a difference. So, for example, in Postaga now, I'm focusing on link building outreach, and there are some ways that you could spell link building in different ways. You can make link building one word, you can make it two words, you can make it hyphenated, and each of those has different corresponding search volumes. Just like if I'm doing marketing for law firms, the word lawyer or attorney have different search volumes associated with them, same as law firm. And so we want to find the right mix of difficulty to rank for a keyword, as well as search volume. That's really important. So, like I'm saying, find that mix of keyword difficulty versus traffic and opportunity, and then mix different content types in terms of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Have some review content, have some very specific content that's maybe a bit more salesy on your product or service. And from this, we're going to build a calendar, and I'd build out a content calendar really, if you can, maybe 6 months in advance. And like this way, you can do all your research up front. You can maybe spend a day, or I don't know, maybe more than a day, doing all this research, finding the right topics, coming up with topics, and then once you do that research, you're able to set up your calendar and decide, okay, here is what I want to work on this week. Here's what's going to be next week. And this way, you don't have to think about it. You can just see, here's what's next on my list that I need to write, and you can get going. That's also to think about. I know sometimes there are relevant current things going on in the world, urgent news sort of things that you may want to write about. You can also add those in as need be, of course. Like I know in the SEO world this week, it is May 7th, 2020 today. A big piece of news was that LinkedIn got de-indexed from Google for like 24 hours. And that was a big piece of news. A lot of SEO blogs were covering it. And if that's your jam, sure, cover that. You can have an urgent, relevant news story. You don't have to be just writing about what is in your spreadsheet. Now I want to talk about some tips on the actual writing process itself. How to get started, how to write better, editing your content, and SEO. So with writing, there are different styles that people have. Some people like to write and edit as they go to make it so each of their sentences is perfect and they're happy with it and they won't move on until they're finished with it. And then they'll keep going, editing as they're going, and it ends up taking a bit longer to get that first draft. Then there is the style that I personally prefer, which is write everything that's in your head at once and then edit later. And I'll usually use something like Google Docs to do my writing and editing. I prefer that just personally. But I'll write everything out I have. And then once I've gotten all my ideas out there, once I've said everything that I have to say, then I'll get to editing. Then I'll move things around. I'll make sure it's better organized. I'll make sure that my sentences make sense. And I prefer this because I find that with being so rigid and stuck to editing as you go, it just ends up taking a lot longer. And sometimes you just don't get to certain ideas that you had because you forget about them. You forget to mention them or write them down. And it just ends up being a lot slower process, just in my experience. So I'd say just write as much as you can down in a first pass. Don't be married to your phrasing or language. Be comfortable knowing that after you've got everything written down that you can think of, you will come back and you will edit it. And in that editing process, you're going to do things like remove sentences that are unnecessary or duplicating in ideas from other sections. You'll organize, you'll have your headings and subheadings, and it'll probably become a lot more clear to you once you have everything written down, how the organization and flow is going to be. And that's really key because sometimes you'll write a ton at once, and then what your idea was for how the layout would be and how it would look ends up being a lot different because it turns out you have a lot more to say about this one area, and this ends up becoming a focus, an area that you want to focus on, and you think, okay, well, let me organize it around this idea instead. So I would say write first and then edit later. And some advice for in doing your actual writing, I recommend short, punchy sentences. A good example of someone I think writes very well for the web is Brian Dean from Backlinko. Quick plug for him, you go to backlinko.com. Any of his articles, they're all very well researched and they have a good mix of short, punchy sentences that keep you reading and keep you scrolling down, mixed in with a good amount of images and illustrations to keep you engaged and interested. And so writing for the web, writing emails, writing blog content and everything is different than writing like a novel or writing an essay that you might have done for school. Because when you're writing for the web, you want to keep people interested, you want to keep them reading and keep them scrolling down your article, reading all of it, getting through the ideas. because all of that is relevant and helpful for how your post ranks and also how people are engaging with your content. People are engaging with web content differently than they're engaging with, a book. And people tend to scan in like an F pattern, like just scan across and scan down. And so that's why you'll see with a lot of web content, the good content will be short sentences. It'll be organized kind of like in that F shape. And you'll see like it broken up with sentences. Some sentences are like bold, some sentences are in italics, and then you have short sentences interspersed with images. And that breaks things up. It keeps you engaged. It helps the reader kind of get through it and not get bored. And that's important. Beyond that, some other recommendations. Make sure your articles have 2,000 or more words. The longer your content is, the better. And also have outbound links in your post. Link out to other blogs, like cite your sources. If you mention a statistic, make sure you link to whatever it is you're referencing. But one reason that having outbound links is important is because we're going to reference those outbound links in our outreach and promotion that we're going to do later. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Next, I want to talk about editing. When you're writing, you may not be comfortable with your editing abilities. I have a few tools that are really great for helping you with that. The first is called Hemingway app. The address is hemingwayapp.com. You can paste in your text, and then Hemingway app will give you feedback on on your writing. If your sentences are confusing, if they're too long. I found this very helpful. Actually, what I found that was after using Hemingway app for a couple of months, my writing was naturally getting better because I was thinking about how Hemingway app would fix my content as I was writing. And then it got to the point where when I submit my content to Hemingway, I was getting fewer and fewer recommended changes because I was kind of writing for Hemingway. And so I guess I really hope that this app knows what it's talking about. But it's been very good. And after a while, you may not even feel like you need the app because your writing is already improving. And so I'd recommend absolutely using this app. It's free, so you can't beat that. Then there is SEO. Use a tool like Yoast to get recommendations on how to optimize your content. Yoast is available for WordPress, and I absolutely recommend that if you're having a blog and you're trying to get traffic, you use WordPress, and recommend that you also use Yoast and you follow Yoast's recommendations. You can insert a focus keyword that you want to be the target term that you're going after, and then Yoast will give you recommendations on how maybe where to include that keyword more, using it in your SEO title and description, whether your content is easy to read, whether it's readable, and so on. So check that out as well. Next, I want to talk about promotion, building links, getting traffic in the short and long term, building relationships, and affiliate dollars. So here's another poll. Do you promote your blog content? Not really. I just share it. I do some outreach. I do a lot of outreach. And I'll admit that early on I did not do a lot of outreach because it seemed very manual and labor intensive. And I'll talk about a way that we found around that in a little bit. But outreach is basically, for every post I have, I want to build links and get shares to that post. Posting your articles to social media and sharing in a newsletter, email alone just isn't enough these days. Because if we want to get traffic, the big thing that SEO cares about is links and quality links. So we want to share our content with other blogs to get them to share and link to our content as well. Here is just an example of an email template, an email that I've sent that I had success with. Basically, there are a few different things that I do for my posts. there are link roundups, there are resource page outreach, there's mention outreach that I do, skyscraper technique, and broken link building. So really quick on all of these. So if I have a post, I mentioned outbound links. A mention campaign is when I reach out to everyone that I've linked to in my post, and then I have an email, kind of like what I showed you before. Hey, I mentioned your website in my recent post. You had a great piece of content, and so I was happy to include that in my article. It'd be great if you could share this post, and it'd also be great if we have maybe some opportunities to work together, like co-marketing or guest posting or whatnot. And that email has worked well for me, and so kind of recommend that. Beyond that, there's also resource page outreach. So you can search in Google for resources on a given topic that your article is about. So if I have an article that is about, for example, I have an article that's web designer questionnaires for new clients. I'll search for web designer resources, and you'll see a lot of articles like 50 tools and resources for web designers, 90 helpful articles for web designers. Then I'll reach out to those websites and say, hey, you should include this new article I have that's great and relevant to your audience. It's another thing to add to your list of resources for web designers, and they can add that as well. Link roundups are basically newsletters or blog posts that other websites publish, sharing good content on a given topic. So, for example, there are plenty of web design focused link roundups that publish every week or every month, and they share, or like SEO too, and they'll share articles. They'll share other people's articles in their newsletter or their roundup to provide help for everybody else that's interested in this same topic. And you can reach out to those websites, and you're doing them a real favor because you're saying, hey, I'm going to save you time. I have this great article that's in your topic wheelhouse. You should include it in your next roundup newsletter. And that saves them time. And then as you build that relationship over time, they're going to recognize your email address, hopefully for the better, and they'll include your content in their future pieces. There's also like another type of outreach called skyscraper technique, which you may have heard of, but it's all about seeing what the top ranking posts are, that are exactly your topic, and then finding who is linking to them by using a premium SEO tool, and then reaching out to those websites and asking them to swap that link from those other sites to your website because your blog post is so much better. And then the last one is broken link building. So how this works is, say that someone has was originally linking to one of these other websites on your topic, and the link is dead. There are tools that you can use to figure those out. Then you could reach out to those sites and say, hey, I see that your link to this article is dead. Have no fear. I have a great article on the same topic you should link to instead. And you're helping them out because they don't want to have a dead link, and you're getting your content linked to. There's also relationship building. So for relationship building, it's not really just for getting affiliates, but there's also the fact that you can do co-promotion of content. You can co-host webinars. You could do all sorts of stuff together. You could swap guest posts. That's one really good thing that, doing this outreach is for, because you get to build relationships with other people in the community who are relevant to your audience as well. And so if you could do things together, you can kind of share audiences and help each other reach more people. So how do we actually do this outreach? Well, there are a few different things that you need to do. First, you have to find the opportunities. A lot of them, as I mentioned, you can do in Google, or you could do using SEO tools. Then we need to find contact details for these people, which is kind of the tough part. You can do that with tools. There are plenty of tools out there for finding contact information. Then we have to send out emails and follow-up emails to the people that we're reaching out to. That all tends to be very manual and labor intensive, having done it for a while, which is why really quick plug, I created Postaga, which is a free outreach tool for finding websites to promote your content, get their contact details, and send the outreach email. So what it does is it'll do the research for you. It'll find different outreach opportunities for link roundups, resource pages, and the like. Then it'll find contact details for people at those websites, and then you can send customized outreach emails to these different people at these websites to get them to link to your content. So beyond that, that's kind of the main meat of this webinar. Then my last poll question, should we follow up with you after this webinar? Yes or no? If yes, awesome, we are now friends, and I'm going to tell you about how to get a free account with Postaga and all of that. If not, I won't take it personally. So some additional resources related to this webinar, you can get it at postaga.com/insiders. If you're interested in building links and traffic to your website, we've created a Facebook community. And if you go to postaga.com/insiders, you can get links to all of this. We have a Facebook community about building links and SEO and growth and all of that. Also, check out Postaga. It's a free tool so that you can build links yourself. And then if you want more information about writing great content, I have a really on-topic post about how to write for link building and SEO at the Postaga blog. And you can find that all at postaga.com/insiders. And now is the time when I would do audience Q&A and take questions. I'm looking at my timer, and that's like about 30 minutes now that I've got for having recorded this. That's exactly what I was hoping it would be, so I'm pretty pleased with how this went. I think I presented okay, and I'm looking forward to doing this live webinar with an audience a bit later. All right, see you later. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting to do this, but if you haven't yet, like this video, subscribe to our channel, check out our online community for growth and SEO and link building. Check out Postaga at postaga.com. I have more details in the notes below in the description, so check those out. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, all of that, and I'll see you later.